Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the official TWitWoW Mae Young Classic Predictions Show, aka TWitWoW Bracketology. John, how you feeling about the Mae Young Classic?
Brother, I am so fucking stoked for this. I have tried my absolute best to stay away from any news, any results, etc., because to me, this is such an exciting time. Look, we've had our criticisms of WWE really fetishizing and overly marketing this concept of a women's revolution. I've had just as many complaints as anybody, but to know that this tournament is a product of that, I can't help but kind of smile to myself because the talent that we have in here just has me licking my chops for all the great matches we're going to get. I got to say, I haven't been this excited for a tournament because I really didn't keep my finger on the pulse of the UK tournament, even though we got brilliance out of it like Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Obviously, I adored the Cruiserweight Classic, but I'd say my hype level for the Mae Young Classic is closer to the CWC than it was for the UK tournament. So I'm really, really stoked about this. And I can't wait for us to do our own bracketology today.
Absolutely. We just got done watching Corey Graves' bracketology, but we are still going into this thing blind, and I'm very excited to discuss this with you. We've got 32 competitors, which means that we've got, I want to say, 31 matches to talk about, because obviously the first round is 16, and then 8, and then 4, and then 2, and then 1. Pretty sure that adds up to 31. So let's get into this. First of all, let's just do a quick rundown of the competitors and briefly, and I mean like 30 seconds or so, discuss each competitor, what we like about them, what we know about them, or if we never heard of them before, just say it, be honest, and we'll hopefully get won over by them in their first match. So let's just start. We'll go all the way down the left side of this bracket and then all the way down the right side. First things first, Jazzy Gabbert from Germany.
Well, since you initiated this idea, you go first. What do you think about Jazzy here?
I like Jazzy. This is she was actually known as Alpha Female before coming to the Mae Young Classic, and now she kind of got the WWE name treatment, and they call her Jazzy Gabbert here. But yeah, man, I think she's pretty cool. I like her look. I like that she's got like this power edge over pretty much everyone in the tournament. I think Kavita Devi, the woman from India, might give Jazzy a run for her money power-wise, but they're not even on the same side of the bracket, and I highly doubt they'll meet each other in the finals. So I don't think we're going to see them interact at all in this tournament. So really, as far as the left side of this bracket goes, I give the power advantage to Jazzy in a major way. And I think that her look and her attitude and her style are all going to be big-time like ways that she's going to win us and the crowd over.
Yeah, you know what? Just to keep my analysis succinct, I love that she's a powerhouse. I love that she's from Germany because even though I hate that xenophobic heat, it's still very viable in 2017, as we've seen with Jinder Mahal. So if they want to make her like that monster heel in the tournament, she fits that role to me like a hand in the glove with her look and everything else she brings. So very excited for Jazzy Gabbert. It's going to be very,
absolutely.
Very
and you know what? Jazzy Gabbert's opponent in the first round is somebody that you're more familiar with. So let's get your opinion on Abby Lath, formerly known as Kimberly.
I know you said 30 seconds, so I'm going to try and keep it to that. I do have a history with Kimberly, always very nice to me at Force One shows, and I've seen her come a long way from a valet to a competitor. I'm hoping the best for her. You know, my fandom is rooting for her. We'll get more into the matches later. But yeah, don't sleep on Abby Lath if you're not familiar with her. I have that familiarity with her. She is insanely good. I think she's gotten a lot better over the years from when I first seen her. And to see that trajectory and to see her now here is very cool. So yeah, big fan of Abby Lath.
And you know what? Since we are already here, we might as well, after we discuss every two competitors, since we're going to be going in order anyway, let's just talk about who we think is going to win the first round match. Who do you have between Jazzy Gabbert and Abby Lath? Because I've got Jazzy winning this.
I got Jazzy winning it as well. Enough said. I mean, again, I love Abby, but she really hasn't gotten spotlighted at all. I feel like for them to go out of their way in their personal bracketology to talk about Jazzy, like, yeah, she's going to take this. Now, I don't always follow that rule. It's just kind of foreshadowing for the rest of my bracket. But yeah, I think Jazzy is a bigger deal in their eyes. They're going to go with her.
Absolutely. And yeah, I'm kind of similar. I tended to kind of stray towards the people that got highlighted, but I didn't necessarily pick them every time. And this next match is actually a pretty good example of that, because let's talk about Rachel Evers, John, formerly Rachel Ellering.
Yeah, I'm excited for her because I think we've only seen her like once or twice, but now we're seeing her on a big stage where she's got to bring her best or she's just going to go home. So I'm very excited to see if this is just more of that bad nepotism that we've grown to hate, or if she's actually worth maintaining that legacy. So
I'll tell you right now, John, if the WWE was to exercise nepotism with anyone, I would be okay with it being with Rachel Ellering, because I've seen her work. I've seen her work Wrestle Circus. I've seen her do different shows. I mean, we even see her on that Women's Wrestling Revolution show that we live reacted to?
I believe we did. And yeah,
I've seen, I don't know if I remember that very much or if she was even on that show, to be perfectly honest, but I know I've seen her work in Wrestle Circus before, and she impressed the hell out of me. So she is legit. I really like Rachel Ellering, and now I got to get used to calling her Rachel Evers. And the weirdest thing is, they actually renamed her in such a way that she still has her first name, but they even spelled her first name differently, because Rachel Ellering is spelled Rachael, and Rachel Evers is just Rachel. So they're really kind of doing a weird thing here where it's like you can keep your name, but you have to respell it. Like, what?
Yeah. So I am excited for her, but I really can't say much else because we're only so familiar with her. So yeah, we'll see what she brings.
All right, well, her opponent in the first round will be Marty Bell, who did get spotlighted on the Mae Young Classic Bracketology with Corey Graves. I like Marty Bell. I've seen very little of her work. I know that she did have a brief run in TNA as a member of the Dollhouse, but I didn't actually watch any of that because I don't watch TNA.
Yeah, I only watched clips, but really it was more about Taryn Terrell, who actually just recently returned to Global Force Wrestling, and I never really got to see much of Marty, but I really appreciated her story. I think she's got a great look, and I'm actually kind of leaning more in her favor, honestly, when we look at this head-to-head matchup between her and Evers, but that's just me. We'll see if Marty can cash in and how far she can advance in this thing.
Well, I mean, that being said, who do you have between these two, Rachel Evers or Marty Bell? I'm picking Rachel to pick up the win here.
I picked Marty Bell, so I went with her to beat Rachel Evers, and so we'll see.
That's fair for sure. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Marty won because, again, like we've been pointing out, they did spotlight her in the Bracketology, but I think Rachel Evers is going to be one of those kind of underdog, like, come up from where no one expected her to come from and pick up a big win here. So, yeah, I'm hoping she gets a little bit more than just one match. But up next, let's talk about Princesa Sugate.
Not familiar with her at all, so I'm going to throw the ball over to you.
I am not familiar with her either, but I do know that she has worked in Mexico for a long time. From what I understand, she is a little bit on the aged side. I think she's in her late 30s, which, I mean, obviously that's not old by any means, but relative to the rest of this field, she's got to be one of the older competitors in this tournament. I'm pretty sure she's worked in CMLL for most of her career. And yeah, I don't really know anything about her, but she is a luchadora, so maybe she's going to be kind of that that spark of energy in this tournament that the lucha style typically brings with it. But honestly, though, speaking of sparks of energy, her opponent in the first round is Kaylee Ray. And Kaylee Ray is the definition of a spark of energy. And she was also highlighted in the Bracketology episode.
Yeah, and her highlights were sick. She seems like a really amazing woman, a really amazing female competitor. So,
you know, John, it's funny because before this tournament, when the field was announced, when we had the Tournament of Champions and all this stuff was going on, I did a little bit of research on a few of the people. I didn't obviously do research on everyone, otherwise I would know more about Princesa Sugate. But I did some research on a few of these competitors that people that really had buzz about them. There were different people that I had never seen, that I've never heard of, that I'd never seen work, that still had pretty big buzz behind them that people were really excited to see. And a few of the people that I went out of my way to find stuff on were people like Mia Yim, people like Piper Niven, formerly known as Viper, people, that kind of like those kind of like fringe, like people that might have been on WWE's radar but hadn't been brought in yet and that haven't worked any like major promotions yet. And Kaylee Ray was one of the people I looked up, and she probably impressed me the most out of the people that I did research on. Because like I said, I looked up Mia Yim and she was great. And we watched some Mia Yim in the Women's Wrestling Revolution show that was the TWitWoW request live from Jackie. I looked up Piper Niven, and I wasn't really all that impressed. But then I found Kaylee Ray, and I instantly was like, yes, this chick is legit. This chick is going to be really entertaining in this tournament. I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do in this match, specifically against Princesa Suhei.
Yeah, I'm really, when it comes to her, Kaylee Ray, I'm going in blind. But again, the highlights were awesome. And when you look at this head-to-head, I'm guessing you're going with Kaylee Ray for the win?
I am, yeah. I think Kaylee Ray needs to pick up the win here because I really just want to see her in more than one match.
And see, this is where I deviated for the first time, and that's why I foreshadowed it. I'm going with Princess Suhei. So we shall see.
That's fair. That's fair. And you didn't deviate for the first time because remember, I picked Rachel Evers and you picked Marty Bell. So we both.
Yeah, well, I mean, Marty Bell did get the highlight. When I say I deviate.
Oh, you mean okay, I get what you're saying. You're saying you strayed from the philosophy of picking people who were highlighted.
Exactly, yeah.
Gotcha. So. I gotcha. Okay, that's nice. Okay. All right, yeah. Well, we're different on two matches now. We're only agreeing that we both think Jazzy Gabbard is going to beat Abby Lath, and the other two matches we've disagreed on. So let's get into our fourth and final match of this group, and it is Xia Li versus Mercedes Martinez. John, thoughts on Xia Li? Anything that you know about her or that you have regarding her look or anything at all?
Great look. Very interesting. This is the first female as part of WWE's Chinese expansion, getting more Chinese wrestlers in their program. Other than that, though, that's my commentary because I don't want to drone on. Do you have anything you'd like to
I actually really liked her style and the way that she moved in the Parade of Champions. I thought that she kind of felt like a freaking, almost like that Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter character. I don't remember her name.
Oh God, are you thinking of Katana or something?
I don't know. I might be, but I like the way she moves. She's got an interesting look, and yeah, she's pretty cool. And then her opponent is Mercedes Martinez, which we're both a lot more familiar with because she is a legit legend in the U.S. women's wrestling indie scene. Right. She's the biggest deal, and she is another one of the older competitors in this. I mean, they mentioned a couple times that she's been wrestling for a long time. She's not as old as Princesa Suhei, but she is close. She's 36. Princesa is 37, so they're about 6, 7, 8 months separate as far as age goes. But Mercedes is legit. It's been a while since I've seen her work. I used to watch, not go out of my way to watch, but there was a point in time when I saw a few of her matches. I want to say back in 2012 maybe-ish, and she was great. So I hope she's still as good as she was then because she was awesome, and I'm picking her to beat Xia Li here. So what about you?
Oh, brother, if I may, very quickly, I'm excited about Mercedes Martinez because do you remember when Ember Moon was coming and I used to say, I pulled a U and I did scouting of Athena? Yeah. Well, one of the matches I saw was her against Mercedes Martinez. It was about this big storyline in Shimmer, I think, of Athena trying to get respect. And, of course, Mercedes was like that big veteran. What I like about Mercedes, and you're going to hear me talk about this throughout our bracket, because let me just say very quickly, I am picking her to win as well. We do agree. I look at her as that rough, tough, almost William Regal type, just mean and vicious, and is just going to punch somebody in the mouth. I'm very excited for her because I think she's just going to be that grizzly veteran in this tournament, and that just seems like a great role for her. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Man, I got to tell you, this next group is promising. First of all, our first matchup is between Nicole Savoy and Reina Gonzalez. So let's talk Nicole Savoy first. Do you have anything to say about her?
No, absolutely nothing. You?
Well, I haven't seen much of her work, but what I have seen is that she will throw a bitch because they called her in the freaking Mae Young Classic bracketology the queen of suplexes. I feel like that's a little bit of like an over-the-top forced nickname, whether she came up with that or whether WWE came up with that, whatever. I feel like it's a little bit too on the button, but it's also very true. She throws suplexes. She throws forearms. She is a beast.
Well, that sounds like my kind of woman. I wonder if I can take her to dinner sometime. But yeah, she did get highlighted in the bracketology. So I am really excited to see her, but I am going blind. And I'll say right now, it's the same way with Reina Gonzalez. I have nothing to say about her. So unless you do, I guess we can just go right into the head-to-head.
Well, here's the thing about Reina Gonzalez, John. I don't know anything about her from an in-ring perspective, but what I do know is that she's 6 feet tall.
Oh, wow. Okay, so she's one of the taller competitors then.
She is one of the biggest competitors in this tournament. She's listed at 6 feet, 176 pounds. So she is far and away one of the biggest competitors in this. I haven't even seen how big Jazzy Gabbert is listed at, but okay, so she's the biggest. She's listed at 6'1", 190, and then Reina would be the second biggest behind Jazzy. So if we're just going based on size, the left side of this bracket would end in a match between Reina Gonzalez and Jazzy Gabbert. But still, I got to go with Nicole Savoy to win this.
I did as well, and I guess we can move on.
Okay, up next, we've got our second matchup in the second group, Renee Michelle versus Candice LeRae. Do you have anything to say about Renee Michelle, John?
Absolutely not. You?
I need to do a little more research on her, but no, I don't actually have anything to say about her right now.
And look, bro, you and I have great familiarity with Candice LeRae. I feel like that doesn't even need to be established. We've seen her work at PWG. We saw her at that Women's Revolution show. We even saw her a little bit in NXT. I think Candice is wonderful. Here's the thing with Candice, though. I've never really seen her in a quote-unquote women's division, so it's going to be a little weird. Like, my associations with her, and I don't want to speak for you, but I'm going to assume it's the same with you, is primarily the world's cutest tag team. But, I mean, she's thrived in that role. Seeing her fight men, especially in guerrilla warfare matches and stuff like that, have just been completely amazing. So, yeah, I'm hoping the best for Candice here.
Yeah. Renee, I'm not familiar with, but I think she was the one that had, like, the Native American get up when she got in the ring for the Parade of Champions, if I remember correctly.
Right.
But still, I mean, it's Candice LeRae. I can't not pick her in this. It's just one of those situations where it's Candice LeRae versus someone that I'm not familiar with, so I have to default to picking Candice LeRae.
And I completely agree with you on all counts. Candice LeRae for the win here.
All right, so then we've got Sarah Logan, also known as Crazy Mary Dobson, facing Mia Yim. Now, this is a tough match for me to pick, so let's get into like the individuals here. John, what do you know about Sarah Logan, other than that Brandon Best absolutely loves her?
Well, you know, that's the thing, brother. I don't know much about Sarah Logan, but, like, Brandon would kill me if I said nothing at all, because when she first appeared in NXT, he would tag me and all this stuff on Twitter. John, here's this promo. John, here's this match. Like, what do you think? What do you think? So I got to hear her work a mic. I got to see her work matches, you know, slightly when I had the time. And she's definitely a very talented competitor. I am happy for him that she's in this, but let's just say I'm not very confident, but we'll get to that in a few moments when we're talking about her opponent. But yeah, Sarah Logan, solid for sure.
Yeah, I'm becoming a big fan of hers. Obviously, I'm probably never going to be as big of a fan of hers as Brandon, but I still find myself liking her more and more the more stuff that I see from her, whether it is promos or spotlights or matches or whatever. The more I see, the more I like. So I'm definitely looking forward to this match because I'm also a big fan of Mia Yim in the ring. And let's talk about Mia, because we did see her on that Women's Wrestling Revolution show, and she is great.
Yeah, she is. Mia Yim, to me, here's the thing about Mia Yim. I have such a weird relationship with her, like, as a fan, because she worked maybe 1 or 2 Force One shows, and then she was a part of the Dolls, but I could never put my finger, like, on the pulse of how I felt about her. You know what I mean? But then that Women's Wrestling, like, Revolution show happened, and I'm like, okay, she's fucking legit. I get it now. Because I used to hear all this stuff about her, and I'm like, I really don't understand.
Dude,
And not even like in a bad way.
backstory as well, because like you and I both heard the same hype from the same people a lot of the time, and I was always like, I would tune into the Dollhouse or to TNA to see what was going on, and Dollhouse would be on, and she would be there, and I was like, well, she's supposed to be really good, so I would stick around and watch it, and I'd just be like, what's the hype for? Like, I don't get it. And then that that women's wrestling revolution show changed everything because she was great in that, and she was really one of like the 2 or 3 standout performers on that entire show.
It's funny, dude, because I mean, I don't want to, overshoot you. I don't want to jump the gun. That's the phrase I was looking for. But like, I do feel like there's going to be one sympathetic, almost underdog-like character that we're going to see really do well in this tournament. And I think I did make my pick of who that was going to be. And, Mia Yim, I do have her kind of winning this head-to-head personally. I'll say that right now. But, like, if they do want to make her that babyface that goes farther than anybody expects, I'd be totally cool with that because I feel like she played such a great sympathetic figure in that women's wrestling revolution match that she had against, I forget who her opponent was. But yeah, Mia Yim's awesome, and I would not sleep on her. I think she's really going to seize this moment and show everybody what she can do.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so 4th and final match in this second group, we've got Zeta, I believe also representing China. Isn't she another one of these people from China like Xia Li?
I believe she is, yes.
But here's the thing. First of all, I love her look. She has a great look. She's very, very much a unique, like she stands out. But yeah, I love her look. However, she is facing the Queen of Spades. She's facing Shayna Baszler. So to me, this is a pretty easy pick because Shayna Baszler is kind of a big deal.
Right.
And again, I've never heard of Zeta before this, so I like Zeta. She's got a great look, but Shayna Baszler is Shayna Baszler, and I'm going to have to pick her.
And Shayna Baszler, just to confirm, she is one of the 4 horsewomen, right?
Yeah, it's her, Marina Shafir, which is Roderick Strong's wife, obviously Ronda Rousey, and Jessamine Duke. Those are the 4 horsewomen of UFC.
All right, then I'm good then, because when I made my bracket, I thought that's who that was. So yeah, I'm even more confident in some of the things I did, which I can't wait to talk about later. But yeah, Shayna Baszler for the easy win. That's all I'm going to say. We can move on.
Okay, that was quick. Do you have anything to actually say about her, or just
no? I just that I think she's going to make a very big impression in this tournament, and you'll see how big as we progress through our bracketology. So
that's fair. Okay, up next we have Kairi Sane versus Tessa Blanchard. This is a very interesting matchup. I'm pretty sure these two have actually met and had a match with each other in the context of Stardom before. But here they are facing each other in a WWE ring. Tessa, to me, is kind of a standout for all the wrong reasons because she is a 2nd generation or maybe even 3rd generation, I'm not sure, but she is the daughter of Tully Blanchard, and it seems from every report that we've heard that she has a massive ego that gets in the way of everything else.
Yeah, I've heard the same. And no matter how massive your ego is, I don't think it can compare to Kairi Sane's talent level. I think Kairi Sane is going to win this. I've really got nothing to say about Tessa. The few times we've seen her, I'll be perfectly honest, I've been completely underwhelmed and underimpressed. And I'm not really that critical of talents that I'm not too familiar with because I like.
You know what, though, dude? I will say this: I've seen Tessa Blanchard wrestle on a Wrestle Circus show relatively recently, within the last couple months, and she has improved by quite a bit. But she still has the attitude problem. She's still way too arrogant. She still thinks way more of herself than she really is. And even though she has improved, she's still not great. She's just good at this point.
Right.
And she thinks she's like the best.
Well, she's going to be proven wrong because to me, Kairi Sane is winning this, and I'm so excited.
Easily, yeah. And by the way, Kairi Sane, formerly known on Lucha Underground as Doku. So you're welcome, WWE. We found her first.
Exactly. There you go. And it's a shame we couldn't keep her. I really wanted to see more of the Black Lotus Triad, but at least we get to see the Pirate in this tournament. And again, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, everybody. I see Kairi doing very well in this tournament. So that said, I guess we can move on.
Absolutely. Our next match is basically NXT only because we've got Sage Beckett, who, I said NXT only, but to be fair, she did have a brief run in TNA, but so much about her has changed since her TNA run. It's not even really fair to call her the former TNA performer. I don't even want to say standout because I feel like most people didn't see a lot in her back then. And it's funny I say a lot because back then her name in TNA was Rosie Lotolove, and it was pretty awful. But she's lost over 100 pounds since then, and she looks great now. And she's like another one who's like 6 feet tall or like 6'1" or somewhere around there. And she is a very large woman, but she's not massively overweight like she was in TNA now. And she's facing Performance Center standout Bianca Belair.
Yeah, okay, so here's what I'm going to say just to package this nice and neatly. No familiarity with Sage Beckett whatsoever. So none. Not even going to comment on that.
Didn't, and by the way, I actually just saw she's not 6 feet tall. She's 5'11", but when she was in TNA, she weighed 300 plus pounds.
Holy shit.
And now she's down to under 200. So yeah,
that's amazing.
She looks amazing. She's in much better shape. And she's still one of the biggest women in this at 5'11", and I think she's listed on here at 190. I don't know if she's still at 190. She might have lost even more weight since then, but still, she is one of the biggest women in this, even though she has lost an entire person.
Yeah. So I'm not really going to comment on Sage Beckett because I don't know anything. Bianca Belair, here's the thing. I can tell that NXT wants to do something with her and that she's the priority because her qualifying match got quote-unquote leaked on WWE's YouTube. And, they've made a big deal. She's the EST of NXT. She's this athlete. She has a very decorated, athletic background, a lot like Charlotte, when she used to do volleyball and all that shit. Bianca Belair, her qualifying match, which I feel like was against, oh God, what's her name? Jesus, I'm forgetting names left and right today. Aaliyah, thank you. Wasn't really too impressed. If I'm being truthful, I was more impressed with Aaliyah, even though I totally blanked on her name. That said, though, I do think Bianca's the priority here. I'm going with her to beat Sage Beckett. So. Yeah,
this is one of those cases where this is really only the second time that we're seeing Sage, with the first time being in that random battle royal where the end came down to Nikki, Ruby, and Ember, and then Asuka showed up and beat everyone. We saw Sage Beckett in that briefly. I think she was one of the first people to get eliminated. But this is really the only other time we've seen her. And Bianca Belair has been getting much more spotlight put on her. And they, it's hilarious because, the officials at NXT are just over the moon about this hair gimmick. And the dumbest thing is, it's not even her real hair. This is something that any woman could have on the roster. And they're choosing to push Bianca because she has it.
Right. So, what are you going to do? It's more just derp to derp.
And WWE. Now, if what we're both saying is right and Kairi Sane wins her match and Bianca wins this match, Bianca Belair is about to be in a singles match in a tournament with a top 5 women's wrestler in the world in Kairi Sane. Damn, that's priority right there.
Here's the thing. It's a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, we do think Bianca's still incredibly green, and we know what happens when experienced vets mix it up with very, green performers. Hideo and Riddick Moss immediately comes to my mind. Yeah. On the other hand, and why NXT is doing this, the adage goes, you get better by facing people that are better than you. They're maybe hoping that Kairi can force Bianca to, get up a few levels. So we'll see. We'll talk about that match later. But yeah, Bianca Belair, in the meantime, she goes over Sage Beckett. Let's move on.
All right, let's move on. And up next, we've got a match between Dakota Kai and Kavita Devi. So let's just get right into the individuals here. John, tell me what you know about Dakota Kai.
Not much. I know we used to talk about her at a time when it was Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, Emma. We wanted all these, because they were the Aussies, and Evie was from New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken, and really wanted kind of a revolution. She's finally here. from the little I've seen of her, because I think we watched maybe one match together, maybe two, she is definitely impressive from what I remember, so not trying to crap on her. But I almost consider this like a reintroduction for me regarding her. So I'm quite excited for it, and her bracketology highlight was awesome, so I'm definitely rooting for her.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay.
Oh,
So
Jesus.
here's the thing, John.
Okay. What's going on?
Dakota Kai is my favorite competitor in this entire tournament.
Oh, so that's why you were all okay. Lay it out for us, brother. Why is that?
I freaking adore this woman because, first of all, we did see her in NXT. I believe she was actually, here's the funny thing, I believe she was actually Nia Jax's first ever opponent.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I've seen her wrestle in other places, and there is a YouTube group called New Legacy Inc. who are wrestling fans who make videos that are like them, like playing video games and wrestling games and stuff like that. And she is occasionally on with them. So like, I even feel like I have an even greater familiarity with her because like I've literally seen her play GTA 5 with a bunch of random dudes. You know what I mean?
That's really awesome.
Yeah, and like I've seen interviews of hers, and then they highlighted her here. Like she's just the best, and she is hands down. And you know what? I don't even want to say hands down because I do love Kyrie, and there are a couple other people coming up that I want to talk about that I also love. But she is by a margin, not a heavy margin, not a slim margin, but by a margin, she is my favorite competitor, my favorite performer in this tournament. And I am going to be rooting for her in every match, no matter what. So if it comes down to her versus Kairi Sane, obviously in the back of my mind, I'm probably going to know that Kairi's going to win, but I'm still going to be rooting for Dakota Kai.
Yeah, and dude, I love that you're that big of a fan of her. Hopefully I become that big of a fan because she sounds amazing. Again, I'm not trying to dump on her. It's just I'm coming from a position of ignorance, so I can only say so much. But I hope to get well acquainted with her. This is why I'm so stoked for this tournament, dude. This is why I avoided spoilers and all that shit, because of competitors like this. And yeah, I'm very excited hearing your enthusiasm for sure.
Yeah. So that's definitely going to be my pick. As far as Kavita Devi goes, though, she's jacked, man. She is a muscular woman. She is big and powerful, and she knows it. And she shows it off because just doing the Parade of Champions, she was all flexing up in here. And this is the only female in maybe WWE history from India.
Yeah, and that's
which
really
immediately
the only
scares me because her opponent is Dakota Kai, and I don't want WWE to get all up like, oh well, the Jinder Mahal numbers have come back and it's been a great success. We need to push more Indian performers, and then Kavita Devi goes over Dakota Kai.
Right.
Like that would just kill my spirit.
Yeah, I have the same concern because here's the thing. I'm really ignorant about Kavita as well, so I really don't know anything. But, and I hate to be that guy, her being from India is a red flag. Now, if somebody only heard that soundbite out of context, that would sound so wrong. But given that WWE's priorities are the Indian market right now, you don't know how seriously they take that. Now, here's the thing. She is a virtual unknown, but yet to WWE audiences, Dakota Kai might as well be the same way. But she didn't get the bracketology highlights, so I'm kind of falling back on that sword. I know I haven't been consistent with it. You haven't either, though, so it makes me feel less bad. But I am going to use it in this case. I am going to say Dakota Kai wins, but I will agree with you. If Kavita wins, unless she's impressive, you know, because at least if she's good, I'm like, okay, at least she's good and she can, you know, she also serves the marketing function. But if it's purely to serve the marketing function, my heart will sink.
Does it really matter how good she is when she will have beaten the best?
You know, I mean, that's a matter of debate, but I'm definitely rooting for Dakota Kai, and I do think she'll pull it off.
All right, well, let's get to the last match in this third group. Let's talk about Rhea Ripley to start things off. Do you know anything about Rhea Ripley?
Absolutely not. I don't know anything about either of these women, so this was kind of an awkward, kind of pick a name out of a hat scenario for me.
Okay, well, here's my thing with Rhea Ripley. I have not actually seen her wrestle, but what I do know about her is that she is 5'7", she is blonde, and she is 20 years old.
Oh, so she's got that youth factor.
Well, she's not the only one in this tournament, but she's also not the only hot blonde in this tournament that's also got the youth factor. But it's still worth pointing out that she is a hot 20-year-old blonde. Like, if she doesn't screw anything up, her success in the WWE is basically guaranteed because Vince.
Right, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I know nothing
And
about
and here's another amazing thing. She's Australian.
Ooh, that's always a plus. Yeah, can I just say too, offhandedly, that I feel like the Aussie wrestling scene, particularly for women, has been killing it. Like, even if they're not
Dude,
used,
I mean, you specified for women. I wouldn't have even done that. I would have just said the Aussie wrestling scene, just in general. I feel like the Aussie wrestling scene has gone so overlooked for way too long, and we're finally starting to get some people from the Aussie wrestling scene in major US promotions, but I want more, man. I want to see more of what this country has to offer. And I've been saying that about like South Africa for a while now too, because like South Africa has produced Theo Kruger / Adam Rose, PJ Black / Justin Gabriel, and Helico. Like, South Africa has produced some legit stars, I would say. And I think Australia either already has or is well on its way to doing the same thing. Because, I mean, first of all, as far as you and I are concerned, Emma is a star. She, like, whether she's getting booked properly on the main roster or not, no matter what she does, you and I are going to pay attention. If she gets cut tomorrow by WWE and goes to some random local indie fed that we've never heard of before, we'll probably go out of our way to seek it out and see what she does there, because she's that good, right?
for sure, absolutely,
Right.
dude.
And then you also got to toss in the iconic duo, who are arguably, and I toss in arguably because this is my opinion and not everyone's necessarily going to agree, arguably the most entertaining act in NXT right now. And then you also throw in the best kept secret of NXT,
Oh yeah.
Buddy Murphy. Yeah, that's right. I'm going there. And he's another guy out of the, I believe he even wrestled in the same promotion as Rhea Ripley. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what she can do, man. Like, I haven't seen anything from her yet, but I want to. I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do. She's obviously a young, fit, 5'7" blonde from Australia. She checks every check mark that she possibly can without me actually knowing anything else about her.
Yeah, so I'm guessing, though, what about Miranda Salinas? I have nothing to say about her, and I will say that right now.
You know, I feel like Miranda Salinas is in kind of an unfortunate position because she, during the Tournament of Champions, she had like either way too much makeup on or somebody botched her makeup or something, because her face looked pale, like liquid paper white. Like, it was like, I feel bad for her because someone messed up. Whether, I mean, it might have even been her, I don't know. But she's only 5'1". She's very small. But from what I understand, she's actually worked for Booker T's Reality of Wrestling organization.
Okay.
So you know, she's got some experience there. I don't know much about her at all, though. All I know is that the first impression I got of her was, oh God, who did this to her face? And the second impression I got of her is, oh my God, she's small. I hope she's good.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say this, given that I'm ignorant of both women, and because at least in the other matches, I at least have a slight familiarity with at least one of the competitors, this was a double blind for me. So I just went with Rhea Ripley going over and winning this match.
Hey, your double blind actually ended up matching up with my double blind. I also picked Rhea Ripley.
Sweet. So now let's get to our next match, because I'm actually really excited for one of the competitors in this next match here.
Okay, so our next match, we've got Vanessa Bourne, who we've seen in NXT already, taking on Serena Deeb, who we've literally seen on SmackDown already.
Yeah. Can I take the floor for this one, please?
Absolutely. Like, anytime you volunteer to take the floor on something that isn't Johnny Mundo related, I am willing to concede it to you.
I appreciate that, man. Serena Deeb's portion of the bracketology, I legitimately got emotional watching it. Like, I know we always do the jokes, laughing at blah, blah, blah. This woman is awesome. Okay? Like, can I just say, like, this woman is absolutely amazing to go be a part of straight edge society, give up her hair for a job, and then because it was implied that she was struggling with alcoholism, because we talked about how she was fired with like, oh, drinking alcohol, and we just thought, oh, well, it's not committed to the gimmick, and I wouldn't blame, or I could see, I should say, WWE being that petty, but Serena made it sound like it was more serious. So for her to get that under control, to fight back and to come here, like, I'm already emotionally connected with her. To me, if I could make a crude parallel, because that's what I'm notorious for these days.
Kendrick.
Like, well, no, you know what? Kendrick is one. I was even going to say, in terms of the hardship and the struggle, she is what, to me, what Rich Swann was in the Cruiserweight Classic. Because Swann had that story, too, where it's like, oh, my parents did, I think one of them may have done drugs. I think he lost both of his parents. And, you know, it's because, like, he had the heartstring story. To me, Serena has the heartstring story of this tournament. I'm watching it, I'm like, I am so happy you are here. Because we always just say, oh, we just felt like she got screwed and this and that. And she's finally here. And I'm hoping she's not a first-round dud, because her opponent does concern me just a little bit. But I am so happy Serena's here. And that's why I had to take the floor, because I got emotional watching her segment. And I am so happy for her that she gets this second chance when I'm usually so cynical about the business and what it does to people. So I just hope Serena does well. I'm personally on that emotional level rooting for her, because, I mean, this is what wrestling is all about when it's really good. So, yeah, I just had to get my 2 cents in. I mean, what do you have to say about Serena, seeing as how you have the same familiarity as I do, if not more? So
yeah, dude, here's the crazy thing. I was a fan of Serena 7 years ago when she was on the Straight Edge Society. I absolutely adored the Straight Edge Society. I've already talked about before how this was when I was working at a grocery store, and every time I would come home on a Friday night, I would come home, and if it was at like 9 o'clock, I would be like, Mom, did CM Punk show up yet? Did CM Punk talk yet? And if the answer was yes, I would get on my computer and look up the CM Punk promo from that night and see what he had to say. And if she said no, I would cheer with joy, and I would sit down in front of my TV and wait for Punk to show up. I was the biggest CM Punk fan, and really to this day still am, even though he's kind of a bit of a meme because of the MMA thing. But still, I freaking love CM Punk. And by just being associated with Punk, I grew to like Luke Gallows and Serena Deeb, and obviously back then Joey Mercury as well. But Serena, really, it's funny because she was only ever in one match on SmackDown, and it was a mixed tag match. It was her and I believe Luke Gallows versus Kelly and I want to say Edge, but I don't remember for sure. It might have been someone else, maybe Big Show. Actually, I think it might have been Big Show. And Serena, in her very brief appearance in that match, I was immediately impressed. So the fact that it took all of like 30 seconds of her being in a mixed tag match to impress me, I am super ecstatic to get to see her work a full match here. And the unfortunate side is that Vanessa Bourne is very much a newbie. So I'm hoping Serena goes over here so we get to see her in one more match after this, at least, if not more than one more match after this. But for now, I am picking Serena to defeat Vanessa Bourne. And Vanessa, we don't really have to say too much about, because we have seen her in NXT before, and we gave our thoughts on her in our NXT review that day.
Yeah, just to reiterate, because that is a bit further back for the uninitiated, she was all right. I feel like WWE may gravitate to her because she does have that look, you know, that I think they'd be like, oh, this is the kind of female performer we want.
She's legit, like, she's got some clout to her as well, because she's a former Phoenix Suns dancer, former Arizona Cardinals cheerleader. So yeah, she actually was able to be a cheerleader for the Arizona Cardinals in the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Yeah, and that's what scares me about the whole Serena thing is I hope they don't opt for Bourne. And I will just say, though, I did pick Serena to win this match.
So did I, baby. So did I.
I hope she does, because I will say, with us giving the Mae Young Classic coverage with live reactions, it'll probably be a mix of what you guys just got done hearing in G1 and what you heard at SummerSlam last night. And I guarantee you, if Serena Deeb loses, it will be the latter kind of commentary, because I will be pissed. I really want her to win. And yeah, here's to hoping she does.
Yeah. I don't know how old Vanessa Bourne is, but I do know that she's only been wrestling for like a year and a half now, so she's still very, very green.
All right, so hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, hopefully. I really, really do hope that it goes well. So anyway, up next we have Santana Garrett versus Piper Niven, formerly known as Viper. And what excites me here is I hope Serena Deeb does win, because then no matter who she goes against, whether it's Santana or Piper, she'll get to have a good, steady match against a vet of the wrestling business.
Yeah, so since I talked quite a bit for the last one, given that it was
Okay.
Serena Deeb and I got so emotional, you go first on this one. Who are you liking?
Okay.
And what do you know about each competitor? All that stuff.
Well, I'm just going to go in order. I love Santana Garrett. I love that she kind of has the Wonder Woman look. She kind of wears, some her colors vary, but in general, the freaking headband always reminds me of Wonder Woman. And she also kind of does look like a Wonder Woman too, because she's got like the dark long hair. She's got the pretty face. She's really. I think they even called her the Wonder Woman of the tournament, didn't they? Like in the
Yeah.
yeah. So like, if they aren't willing to capitalize on the success of the Wonder Woman movie and push the ever loving shit out of Santana Garrett, that's their loss, man. Because this is like, it is perfect timing wise to bring in someone like her. Honestly, if anyone was going to win this tournament other than Kairi Sane or someone that we're going to talk about last, I would be okay with it being Santana, because if they were willing to just be like really stick their necks out there and say, listen, she is the Wonder Woman of the WWE. She's got this like Wonder Woman look. She wears the headband. They can even put her in gold, black, and blue, or gold, red, and blue, rather, to kind of match the Wonder Woman colors. They could go full blown embrace the culture on this. I don't think they're going to, but I love Santana Garrett, because the thing with her, and this is my whole thing, John. When opportunities like this arise, when it's like, oh, well, there's this culturally relevant thing going on and you can capitalize on it. What really excites me is when they would be doing it for a legitimately talented competitor who can live up to that kind of billing, who can live up to that kind of hype, who can live up to that kind of promotion. And to me, Santana Garrett can, because she is superbly talented in the ring. I don't think I've ever heard her talk. Honestly, I don't even know how good of a promo she is, but as long as she is able to look like Wonder Woman and work well in the ring, I don't give a shit. Push the hell out of this woman. That being said, though, Piper Niven, formerly known as Viper, is getting a weird amount of hype. It is insane how much hype this woman has gotten. I personally am not the biggest fan of hers. I don't dislike her or anything like that, but I've seen her work a match against Toni Storm, and I felt like Toni Storm did all the work in that match, and all Piper did was just be big, which we've seen that from countless other women. That's something Nia Jax can do, and I'm not impressed with Nia Jax either. So if all you do is just be big, I'm not impressed. You got to do more than that to impress me. I like Piper Niven, I'm sure, as a person, but as a wrestler, I'm underwhelmed. I want to see more. I want to like her because of how many people I respect like her. But as of right now, I don't give a shit about her. So if I had to pick based on my subjective who I like more, it's Santana Garrett. But based on the fact that she's still named Santana Garrett and Piper Niven got a WWE name, I went with Piper Niven to win here.
I went with Piper as well. It hurts, brother, because when you were making that pitch for Santana, it was like you were pitching for your life, just seeing the vision of her being the Wonder Woman of WWE. And I'm like, yeah, I see it. I see your vision. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, though. And then, yeah, like just all started to tumble down. I like Santana from the little that I've seen of hers. I know she's Jackie's second favorite women's wrestler, right behind Taylor Hendricks. And the only reason I bring that up is, to me, I've always regarded Jackie as like an authority on women's wrestling. So if she likes you, I think she's got that eye for talent that I respect. So yeah, Santana.
That's funny that you say that, because I feel like most of the time the women that are like her favorites are her favorites because like she met them IRL and they're nice to her.
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, she gets ecstatic meeting people, but I mean, I think Taylor Hendricks is amazing after that one performance, and she's her current favorite. And yeah, Santana's been a favorite of hers for a long time. There was even a time Jackie was pushing for her to be Sister Abigail when there was all that talk of her actually being a physical manifestation. Regardless, Santana's good in my book. I give her the thumbs up, but I think Piper, I don't know, like you said it best, weird amount of hype. I think that hype's going to carry her over. I actually think they're going to tell, because I think Piper's going to work heel. Obviously, because after that pitch she made for Santana, I think they feel the same way. She's going to work more babyface, and I think they've got a bigger story here for Piper, at least in the interim. So, yeah, I'm going with Piper here to win.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got 2 matches left in the first round. First things first, though, let's talk about the Brazilian sensation, Tainara Conti.
Well, for me and my ignorance, the sensation's very localized because I do not know anything about Tainara. So, yeah, I've got nothing to say unless you do. I'm on the subject.
Here's what I know, John. She's Brazilian. She's a hot blonde. And I believe she is also one of the young. Yeah, she's 22. So whether she wins this tournament or even does well in this tournament or not, I definitely think she has a future in WWE. And especially because they did give her a name change. Her name before this, I think, was it was Tainara something else, but they gave her the Conti as the last name. That's not her real last name. So hopefully she gets signed, or if she hasn't been signed already, hopefully, frankly, I hope she's been signed already because I see a bright future for her. She has a legit martial arts background. She is a black belt in judo, a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and she is a joint manipulator from what I've heard.
That gets me all sorts of excited for her. It's kind of a shame where I ended up going in my bracket because, yeah, that sounds amazing. And Lacey Evans, who did get a Bracketology highlight. I mean, here's the thing for me personally, because obviously we've made a distinction throughout this commentary of who we like and where we objectively see things going. Subjectively speaking, I'm not impressed with Lacey Evans. I honestly really don't even care about her. I feel like from what I've seen of her, she's kind of falls flat for me. And yeah, her story kind of humanized her a bit, kind of made that emotional resonance. But here's the thing. I think what really amplifies emotion for me is when you have a story, but I also know that you're good. Case in point, Serena Deeb earlier. I don't think Lacey's good, and I'm just going to be very straightforward about it. Do you have anything that you want to say about Lacey Evans before we do our head-to-head here?
Yeah, the highlight that they put on her actually pissed me off, like actively pissed me off. Like, I understand you not being necessarily like swayed by it, but it actively pissed me off because it legitimately felt like they were trying to make her seem like this sympathetic figure, like, oh, she like, the worst thing to me, like the biggest offense to me, was when she said that her little girl was going to be in the crowd and she deserves to see her mommy win. Like, shut the hell up. Everyone wants to win. Everyone has something that they're fighting for. You're not special.
And when they mentioned like the service, like I kept thinking about Kurt Angle's promo. You all volunteered for this, idiots. Kurt, why do you have the best one-liners, Kurt? Like, tell me your secret right now. But yeah, dude, like,
you know what I think it is with Kurt is that he doesn't even do it on purpose. He's just a goofball naturally, and the shit he says sounds funny. Like, I've always heard this line about like stand-up comedians. Good stand-up comics say funny things. Great stand-up comics say things funny.
Yeah.
And that's Kurt. Kurt says things funny.
But yeah, I'm glad that we both kind of, double like curb stomped Lacey Evans here because you ain't special, bitch. Sit down. But that said, and this is where
hey, you know what? James is actually pointing out in chat. Apparently, Tainara is also a mother. She has a kid as well, but they didn't put a friggin' highlight on her and try and give her a damn sob story because she's actually talented and she can win and win people over and get support from the crowd from her talent rather than needing to rely on a sob story in order to do that.
Exactly. That said, though, and this is where I hate even myself, I unfortunately pegged Lacey to win her match against Tainara. Now, knowing her background, that being Tainara, I'm hoping that she twists Lacey like a fucking pretzel and just forearms her in the face repeatedly. But Yeah, I think they're going to go with Lacey. And again, I have a method to my madness, I promise, and it comes with some unfortunate sacrifices. And I think Lacey is such a sacrifice. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, the thing is, I actually did fill out my bracket before we watched the bracketology. So I could very easily be wrong here, but I did pick Tainara to win this. So I'm hoping that she has the ability to overcome that WWE bias for their own homegrown talent in Lacey, and just overcome all of that bias by just being the superior talent.
You'd think, man. You'd think. If it's any consolation, I'm rooting for you to be right in this case. It's just, I think you can see where I'm coming from. So let's just move on to our next match.
Yeah. All right. So our next match and our final match of the first round, we've got Aisha Raymond, who is from, I believe, Britain. She's an English woman. I almost said an English woman, or I almost said an Englishman, but she's a woman, so she's an English woman. But it doesn't really freaking matter because she's facing Toni Storm, and Toni Storm is probably going to make it to like the semifinals, if not the finals, if not win the whole goddamn thing. So,
yeah.
Aisha Raymond is like the weird cat lady. Like she was the one that in the Tournament of Champions had her face painted like a cat. And I get to break out the band hammer in chat. Hooray.
Oh, I was going to do it. Damn it.
Beat you to it. But yeah, Aisha was the one that had her face painted like a cat. And she's kind of weird and she's kind of awkward. And I don't really have much else to say about her. But Toni Storm is Toni freaking Storm. So obviously she's winning.
Yeah, let's keep it brief. You pretty much said everything I was going to say. Toni Storm is incredible. The biggest travesty here is that her and Kairi Sane are on the same side of the bracket because I wanted this to be the final so fucking bad. But yeah, Toni Storm's incredible. She's winning. I really don't care about you, Aisha. I'm probably going to laugh at you when you fail. So you and Lacey Evans can just hold each other and cry. So yeah, Toni Storm's winning.
Absolutely. Toni Storm is incredible. She is one of my top 3 in this tournament as far as like who I like the most. It's funny because all 3 of my top 3 are in the same side of this bracket because it's Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai, and Toni Storm, and they're all on the right side of the bracket. So sadly, only one of them can make the finals. That's the biggest travesty imaginable. But that is the first round, so let's get into the second round. And my first second round matchup is Jazzy Gabbert versus Rachel Evers. Yours is Jazzy Gabbert versus Marty Bell, but I think we both agree Jazzy Gabbert's probably moving on to the quarterfinals.
No, we do not. I picked Marty Bell to win this, actually.
Oh my God! Okay. Wow. So our brackets are diverting even more from each other. That's crazy. Okay, so you've got Marty Bell going to the quarterfinals. That's actually awesome. Like I said, I do have Jazzy Gabbert because powerhouse, German, why the hell not? She seems pretty freaking awesome. Our next second round match, though, for me, it's Kaylee Ray versus Mercedes Martinez. Is that what it is for you as well?
Mine was Princess Suge, remember, because I deviated in that case.
Okay. And who do you have winning this match?
I have Mercedes Martinez winning.
And see, this is where I'm diverting. We're different again because I have Kaylee Ray making it to the quarterfinals, and you didn't even have her win in her first match. So yeah, this is really interesting because our quarterfinals on that group are going to be completely different because I'm going to have Jazzy versus Kaylee, and you are going to have Marty Bell versus Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow. All right. So let's get into the next group then. Our third second round match, Nicole Savoy versus Candice LeRae. For me, I don't know who you picked.
Yeah, no, I have the same match as you.
And your winner?
Candice LeRae.
Okay, we agree on that. Okay, so that's nice. That's cool. Up next, then, we've got Mia Yim for me. I don't know. I think you picked her as well. Versus Shayna Baszler. And I picked Shayna Baszler to advance to the quarterfinals.
I did as well. So Shayna Baszler for the win.
So our first group completely different. Second group completely identical. So it's good to know we've got some consistency there. Third group, And our fifth second round matchup here, Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair. I think safe to say Kairi's got this, right?
Yeah, Kairi all day.
Sixth second round match, Dakota Kai versus Rhea Ripley for me.
Same.
And I picked Dakota Kai to win.
I have Dakota as well.
Awesome. Okay. Getting the consistency back to good. We're just really screwed up on that first group. Seventh match in the second round. I've got Serena Deeb versus Piper Niven, and I have Piper Niven, unfortunately, going over.
I have the same match, but I actually picked Serena to win.
Oh, that's cool. I hope you're right. I hope that happens. I hope Serena wins. And I hope that Serena gets to face the winner of our next match, where you've got Lacey Evans versus Toni Storm, and I've got Tainara Conti versus Toni Storm, and I did pick Toni Storm to win that.
I picked Toni Storm as well. So I've got Serena Deeb versus Toni Storm in like that next round.
And I've got Piper Niven versus Toni Storm. So then we can move on to our next matchup, which is the quarterfinals, where you have Marty Bell versus Mercedes Martinez, and I have Jazzy Gabbert versus Kaylee Ray.
I'm just going to say for my matchup, I have Mercedes Martinez going to the semifinals.
Okay, so you've got Mercedes beating Marty. That's fair. And I have Jazzy going to the semifinals, beating Kaylee Ray. I really tried to kind of build this entire tournament around Kairi Sane, because spoiler alert, I have Kairi Sane winning. It's not really that much of a spoiler, though, because I've been saying that since the brackets were announced, since it was announced that Kairi was going to be in the tournament. I just said, if she's in it and Io Shirai isn't in it, Kairi's winning the whole thing, and I'm sticking to that. So I basically just picked her to win every match, and then I just figured out who her best opponents would be, and then I figured out who her opponent's best opponents would be, and I just kind of worked my way up from there. So that's kind of how I kind of really revolved the entire tournament around Kairi, and her always facing heels, and the people that she would eventually face always facing baby faces. So I have Jazzy Gabbert beating a bunch of baby faces, Abby Lath, Rachel Evers, Kaylee Ray, and then the winner of our next match, which I have Candice LeRae. I think we both do. We both have Candice LeRae versus Shayna Baszler. I picked Candice LeRae because I want Jazzy to beat Candice LeRae and face Kairi in the finals. And I think that Candice losing to Jazzy would give Jazzy a lot of heel heat, and that would make Kairi beating her a big deal. So do you also have Candice LeRae advancing to the semifinals, or did you pick Shayna Baszler?
I picked Shayna Baszler, and my story for that was Mercedes in her bracketology highlight talked about Nicole Savoy and Shayna and how she ran with them, and she said if it comes down to it, friendship goes out the window. I do think they want to give that conflict to these women, so I have Mercedes Martinez versus Shayna Baszler as my semifinal match.
I like that, though. I like the story on that. Okay. Then we've got Kairi Sane versus, I believe we both picked Dakota Kai, so I unfortunately was forced to pick against my favorite competitor in this tournament, Dakota Kai, and I went with Kairi Sane to win this.
I completely agree. Kairi Sane's going to go over Dakota Kai.
And then in our final group, we have got Piper, in my case, Piper Niven versus Toni Storm. In your case, Serena Deeb versus Toni Storm. So who's winning this?
Toni Storm's going to be going to the semis against Kairi Sane.
I hope you're right. But again, based on story and based on the fact that I picked Piper to defeat Santana Garrett, who's a big babyface, and Serena Deeb, who's also a big babyface, I picked Piper to defeat Toni Storm, who's also going to end up being a big babyface, whether they want her to be or not, because it's Toni freaking Storm, and sending Piper to the semifinals against Kairi. So our semifinals matchups, you've got Mercedes Martinez versus Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane versus Toni Storm. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And I've got Jazzy Gabbert versus Candice LeRae and Kairi Sane versus Piper Niven. So who are you picking to be in the finals?
Mercedes Martinez is going to beat Shayna Baszler, and Kairi Sane's going to beat Toni Storm. So my finals are Mercedes Martinez versus Kairi Sane.
Wow. Okay. All right. And as I said, my whole tournament was built around Kairi Sane winning. So obviously that means that she is going to beat Piper Niven in my scenario, and her opponent in the finals is going to be Jazzy Gabbert.
All right. Well, I think we both have pretty sick finals, if I do say so myself. I really actually like both of our brackets for the most part. So, yeah. And you already said Kairi Sane's winning for you. I'm the exact same way. Kairi Sane's winning this. I think, I'm just going to be blunt. Her and Asuka, that's destiny right there. Like, it's going to happen.
I will say, though, brother, I think that if Mercedes Martinez faces off with Shayna Baszler in the semis, I don't see any way Shayna doesn't win that. Because if they're pushing Shayna to the point that she makes the semifinals, they're not going to just not go all the way with her. She's absolutely making the finals if she makes the semifinals.
I mean, maybe. I mean, the way Mercedes talked about it was that they ran with her, so Mercedes was kind of the mentoring figure.
Well, that doesn't matter though. Shayna Baszler, if they push her to the semifinals, it's because they see money in the Four Horsewomen versus the Four Horsewomen stuff. And I think that they're gonna, if they push Shayna all the way to the semis, all the way to the semis, there's no doubt in my mind that she's gonna be in the finals against Kairi.
And see, my thing is, I do agree with you about them wanting to do Four Horsewomen versus Four Horsewomen, but knowing that they have that to fall back on, she doesn't need the finals. So I still see
When has someone not needing something ever stopped WWE from giving it to them anyway?
That's a fair point. I'm just saying Mercedes versus Kairi, that's my final. Because I think the story is, again, that really grizzled veteran who's just wanted to be here. Like Lita even said in the Bracketology highlight, like she talked to Mercedes about it, and she's like, this is everything. So like I could even see her being like the Pete Dunne, where she'll even beat people up if she has to just to make that splash. And Kairi Sane, well, she's also like that really legendary competitor, not to discredit her, she's more of like the lovable, like we gravitate to her because she's the babyface kind of thing. That's going to be a very hard-hitting final. So,
do you know what's freaking insane?
What's that?
Kairi Sane has only been wrestling for 5 years.
Wow, that's not long at all. In the grand, yeah.
She's one of the top 5 female wrestlers in the world right now, and she's only been doing it for 5. Like, that's more ridiculous to me than even like Sasha Banks, because like I think Sasha's only been wrestling for like 5 or 6 years as well, and she is like the top, well, definitely one of the top female performers in WWE. Okay, and even her, Sasha's been wrestling for 7 years. She's been wrestling for longer than Kairi Sane. What?
Yeah, it's nuts to think about, dude.
That's stupid. Oh my god. But anyway, yeah, Kairi, she's been wrestling since 2012, and she is 27 years old. And Mercedes has been wrestling since 2000, and she's 36. So there is a huge experience difference there. And even though the age difference isn't significant, it's only a 9-year age difference, but we're talking about a 12-year experience difference. That's massive.
Yeah. And again, that's the role I think Mercedes is fulfilling. Just like this grizzly vet that's like, this may be my last chance. In a way, she's actually more of the Kendrick in this thing than Serena is. Except the only difference is I see her going all the way to the final, but still coming up short. So yeah, if Mercedes Martinez versus Kairi happens, because the final I wanted was Kairi versus Tony, which is why I settled for them being a semifinal match. But I can dig Mercedes just from that one match I saw her against Athena. Against Kairi Sane. I think that'd be a very fun final. And you having Jazzy Gabert.
I like that, though. I like that. I feel like I kind of knocked Mercedes out a little bit too early. But again, my whole bracket, from the top to the bottom, my whole bracket was revolving around Kairi Sane winning the whole thing as like the biggest babyface in the world. So I went out of my way to try and make sure. Now, there's one exception, and that's purely based on bias. But there is one exception to this rule, and that is Dakota Kai. But I went out of my way to make sure that every other opponent that Kairi Sane faced was a heel.
Right.
I think Bianca Belair is more of a heel. I definitely think that I built up Piper Niven to be a heel. And then obviously Jazzy Gabert is like the top heel of the tournament to me. Because really, like, I had her beat Abby Lath, Rachel Evers, Kaylee Ray, and Candice LeRae. I had Piper Niven beat Santana Garrett, Serena Deeb, and Toni Storm. So, yeah, when Kairi finally gets to face those two, it's going to be the biggest obstacles that she's going to have to overcome. And that's both literal and metaphorical, because not only are they the big obstacles because they have these big wins over top babyface competitors, but they're also two of the biggest women in the tournament. Piper Niven, I believe, is the heaviest woman in the tournament. Jazzy Gabbert, the tallest. So yeah, I mean, to me, like, that's the perfect babyface story, is you build the babyface up to eventually overcome. It's the David versus Goliath story. You've got Kyrie as this sort of, you should never see her as an underdog, but when she's up against these titans like Jazzy and Piper, yeah, it makes sense that she would be seen as an underdog. So I really tried to build the story. You know how much of a sucker I am for a good story, so of course I did that. But yeah, that was like the whole point of my bracket, was to just set up so that the story would lead to Kyrie being the biggest babyface out of the entire group. I hope I achieved that, and I hope that you guys enjoyed my booking. And John, I know I enjoyed your booking. So I'm really, really excited for the NYC. I'm super looking forward to it. And honestly, it can't get here soon enough. We're a week away. A week from today, next Monday at 3 p.m., we will be doing live reactions to the first set of Mae Young Classic matches, and I am super stoked on it.
Oh, you and me both, brother. They said like the first 4 episodes drop on Monday, so yeah, they're not wasting any time. I guess that'll cover like the whole first round if I had to guess.
Probably, yeah. I mean, that's crazy. I didn't even know that, but I mean, it fits, because I would assume each episode is going to be about 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour, but we'll still be able to start at 3 p.m. and we'll be done before Raw starts, so people will be able to go watch Raw if they want to after we've finished. And still, I'm just really excited about this. Let's just, you know what? We've already talked about what we're predicting as far as winning goes. Let's talk about matches we're looking forward to, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, brother. From the matches that we know we're getting, I'm definitely curious to see Shayna Baszler like in the ring. Mia Yim and Sarah Logan's going to be a lot of fun. Kairi Sane competing, that's always going to be a victory. And Toni Storm. Yeah, and if I had to pick one other match outside of that, again, from knowing what we're getting, Rachel Evers versus Marty Bell has me a bit intrigued, so I'll say that. And yeah, just seeing Santana Garrett work is always a treat. So what about you? What are some matches you're looking forward to?
Well, you mentioned Santana Garrett and her versus Piper Niven. I am looking forward to that. And if my bracket comes to fruition, I think the 2 matches that I'm most excited for are Kairi Sane versus Dakota Kai, and Kairi Sane versus, I have Piper Niven beating Toni Storm. Hopefully Toni Storm beats Piper Niven. But either way, Kairi Sane's semifinal match, I hope it's against Toni Storm. I picked Piper Niven because I was trying to build a heel, but in a perfect world, we would get Kairi Sane versus Toni Storm, just because Toni is that damn good. I really, as far as individuals, I'm looking forward to seeing Jazzy Gabbert perform, because I've never seen her in the ring before, but I love her look. I love how intimidating she is. And she seemed really endearing for the Bracketology special where they highlighted her. I'm looking forward to seeing Kaylee Ray, and hopefully Kaylee Ray versus Mercedes Martinez happens. I really want to see that match. And then I also have Kaylee versus Jazzy, and I hope that happens as well. I would really enjoy that match, I hope. And then really all the matches of Toni Storm, Dakota Kai, and Kairi Sane. I've been saying those are my 3 favorites in this. And you know what? Another person I really am looking forward to just seeing for the first time in the ring is Tainara Conti. I want to see what she can do, man, because the hype level is unreal for her, just because of the whole Brazilian thing, because like she reps Brazil, and the people of Brazil are hardcore. And like, you can go to any NYC video on WWE's YouTube channel, and they're like, say like 80+% of the comments are Brazilians commenting on either A, Brazil, or B, Tainara, or C, both.
Yeah, and you know what, dude? Like, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm not going to make any last-minute picks. I am still with a heavy heart going with Lacey Evans. But, I mean, when we think about Brazilian competitors, WWE, I think, has been eyeing that market more in recent years, it seems like. Because who's that one NXT talent they've got that I think is from Brazil, if I'm not mistaken? And, you know, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, that guy that lost to, or that beat Andrade at one time.
Yeah, I forget his name, but yeah, Brazil, I think they're giving more priority to. And TJP wasn't from there, right? Isn't he from the Philippines, I thought?
The Philippines.
Okay, yes, because I didn't want to get my wires crossed. But either way,
he's from a different place with hardcore country reps.
Yeah, like, because, yeah, when I think about these hardcore countries that are just big time wrestling fans, or just really just very patriotic in general, like when one of their own makes it, does add an interesting element. So yeah, I can't wait to see her either. Should be very interesting.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I think we can officially close it out here. John, any final thoughts on the Mae Young Classic or the bracket?
I'm hyped as fuck for this. I can't wait for next Monday when we start our coverage. And it's funny because we just got out of a tournament with G1, but I think just because of how excited I am for this particularly, I'm ready to go all over again. So let's do it, man. Let's kill it.
It's tournament season. Starting in mid-July, it was just nonstop tournaments for the rest of the year. Because think about it this way. We had G1 already. We've got the Mae Young Classic next. Then we've got the Dusty Classic. And then in December, we've got G1 Tag League. I mean, we're not covering that wall-to-wall like we did G1 Climax. But still, we'll probably watch a few of those shows. And we are covering the G1 Tag League Finals.
That's right. So it's tournament season, motherfuckers. Next stop, Mae Young Classic. Cannot wait for this. Thank you to everybody who joined us for our bracketology. Even Jackie, which was last minute. I wish she was here from beginning to end because maybe she could have filled in some gaps for us and for some of our audience. But I'm still very much looking forward to her feedback and her analysis as the tournament progresses. And we
absolutely,
hope you're looking forward to ours too.
If you do go back and listen to this whole video, which it's about 75 minutes long, so you might want to set aside a little extra time. But once you do decide to go back and listen to this whole thing, tell us what you think on the Discord. What we got right, what we got wrong, anything kind of gaps that you want to fill in for us. Talk to us in the Discord. And hey, just as another plug for the Discord, guys, it's only $3 a month. Donate to $3 a month to our Patreon, and you will get exclusive access to the official patron TWitWoW Discord, and you'll get to see Jackie's criticisms of our thoughts on the Mae Young Classic competitors. You'll get to see what she has to say about the competitors. She is sort of the voice of women's wrestling as far as our channel goes. She kind of fills us in on a lot of stuff that we're ignorant to, that we haven't been able to see ourselves. And she was the reason that we were able to even live react to that Women's Wrestling Revolution show in the first place. That was a Patreon request from her. So, yeah, definitely donate, get into the Discord, get our thoughts on stuff before everyone else, and get some of Jackie's thoughts on women's wrestling, which is an opinion that I value highly.
Absolutely, me as well. So yeah, Jackie, hopefully you can join us more for our wall-to-wall coverage when the tournament starts. But thank you to everybody who joined us today, and we hope you're as stoked for our coverage, our live reactions to this tournament, because I'm like a kid on Christmas. I've been waiting for this tournament for a while. Again, I've really actively, and Ashton can vouch for me here, I've tried to avoid like all the fiery pits of spoilers, and I'm just really looking forward to spoilers. I'm really looking forward to going in blind, and I'm looking forward to seeing James drool over all the wives he's going to be getting out of this tournament. They're all going to beat his ass because they don't need no man. So this has been TWitWoW.
He's already kind of swooned over like Tainara and Tony, and I think Tessa as well, believe it or not.
Yeah, and like he's already saying to some of them, kick your children to the curb, just come be with me. And yeah, just hilarious. But yeah, guys, I'm so excited for this. Ashton, I'm going to kick it over to you, man. I really enjoyed this bracketology. I loved your booking of the tournament. I was definitely a little different when compared to the two of us, but I hope you guys enjoyed both of our perspectives, and we'll see you again. So yeah, Ashton, take us home.
Absolutely. I already mentioned the Discord tier of the Patreon. Other options, if you would like to support us on Patreon, you can also request a live reaction to a wrestling show of your choosing, or if a live reaction just isn't enough, you can also get a full-blown duo video, the live reaction plus review combo. All of the pricing details on that are on our Patreon, and if you're not interested in paying all of that in one bulk lump sum payment, you can just do the $3 a month for Discord access, and that'll accumulate over time. And you'll be able to eventually buy a request, whether it's a live reaction or a live reaction review combo, with the accumulated money. So we give you options, guys. We appreciate your support, and we're encouraging you to support us by giving you so many different ways to do it. And the other way that you can do it, if you want physical return for your support, is to buy a t-shirt. And hell, even if you don't want to spend the $25 on a t-shirt, you can buy a mug for $15, or you can buy a sticker for $6. Put that on your car, put that on your wall, put it wherever you want, put it on a binder if you're still in school. I don't give a shit. do what you want with it. But still, you have options. You can support us in multiple different ways. And if you have a way that you want to support us that we don't have available, let us know and we'll figure out a way to make it happen, because we need the support and we appreciate the support. And any way that you're willing to support us, we're willing to help you to do. So be sure to follow us both on Twitter. Be sure to like the official Facebook page. And if you are on Reddit, be sure to check out the official TWitWoW subreddit. But until then, guys, we only have NXT and Lucha Underground to do on Wednesday, and then 5v5s on Thursday, and that is our week. Nothing else tonight. No SmackDown coverage tomorrow night because SmackDown is going downhill fast. And I guess we will see everyone on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time for Lucha Underground live reactions. It is going to be an amazing episode. We have got Pentagon Dark versus Prince Puma, and Johnny Mundo versus Rey Mysterio for the Lucha Underground Championship. It's going to be an amazing show. Sexy Star versus Veneno, mask versus mask. So we've got 3 matches set up this week. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. And we will see you guys there. But of course, you've got to remember to stay tuned.